Okay, so this is what we have so far. SDR for Mark. My name's in it. It's relevant because I'm actually advertising for an SDR. I'm going to get drawn to that. The next thing is I'm going to look at that first sentence. Brings us to the most difficult part of the email. Is this interesting? It begs the question, what in the heck do prospects find interesting? It turns out only one thing. I'm going to share with you two stories. Both of these are true. Each story takes about 2 minutes to tell. And then I'm going to pause, and I want you to tell me what both of these stories have in common. And this is a little tricky, so if it racks your brain, don't worry about it. Here's story number one. Several years ago, I was in the mall with my wife, and I did not need anything. I was just keeping her company because we were going to get dinner afterwards. To kill some time, I walked into a fit-to-run store. Again, not needing anything. If the sales associate said, "What brings you in today?" I would have said, "Nothing." If the sales associate said, "Can I help you?" I would have said, "No." But she didn't do any of those things. Instead, she looked down at my sneakers and she said, "Are you a runner?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "What distance do you run?" And I said, "I'm training for my first half marathon." And she said, "Have you ever had a running gait test?" And I said, "What's that?" And moments later, I'm on a treadmill in the store and she's videotaping me run. She freezes the frame and she says this: "Do you notice how your ankles are overpronating when you run?" And I said, "Yeah, so what?" She said, "The problem is if you run in sneakers or insoles that are not made for pronated feet, you can get shin splints, plantar fasciitis, and ultimately get sidelined for your race, especially if you're running over 7 miles. If you'd like, I could take a look at your sneakers to see if they're made for pronated feet." And about 7 minutes later, I'm spending $180 on new sneakers and insoles. That is story number one. Story number two. I love to wash my car on the weekends. I get my car wash supplies from a place called Adams Polishes. One day I get this email, and I'll never forget the first line that showed up in my inbox. It said, "Josh, how do you know your wash mitt won't scratch your car?" Now, I'm a car nut, and it turns out that if you wash your car with a normal bucket and sponge, dirt can get trapped in the sponge. And if you have a dark colored car like I do, and you rub the car, you get these deep swirl marks in the hood that you can't buff out. You got to take it to a body shop. That's an $800 at least paint job. Not to mention when you sell the car, they run a paint thin meter over the hood. They could tell it's been repainted and your car is worth less money. Adam sells this grit guard and bucket. The grit guard goes to the bottom of the bucket. You rub your sponge on the grit guard and the dirt settles to the bottom of the bucket and off your car, and I bought one. Okay. What do those two stories have in common? We'll take some answers there if the facilitator can help me. All of your prospects, no matter what you sell, are using wash buckets and sneakers. This has nothing to do with your product. This has everything to do with shining a light on a problem that our prospects didn't know they had. Because the number one competitor we have is the prospect doing nothing, using their existing running sneakers.